And official welcome to Penn Center on behalf of Mr. Bernie Wright, our interim director, and to the Board of Trustees, and our staff, and all our volunteers here at Penn Center. We welcome you to our beautiful piece of heaven. Today, you are on sacred grounds. You are on the site of the first school in America for emancipated slaves. The school itself was started by three phenomenal women. Laura Town, a Quaker from Philadelphia. Ellen Murray, a Unitarian from Canada. 10 months later comes a black woman, Charlotte Fulton. Charlotte could only stay 2 years. She became ill, had to go back home for treatment. But together, these three women were abolitionists who came here for the sole purpose of educating the newly emancipated people on this island. Before I go any further, you're such a good crowd. I'm looking out there, I see some familiar face. This lady right here, I've met her before. The lady with the shoes I like. And there's a man back with a yellow shirt. He said, "You must be somebody important." I said, "That yellow shirt, you're important too." So I'm so glad to see all of you here. It's a big crowd. But I've spoken in front of 300 people in Frizzell. But in going forward, this school itself was started because of the Civil War. When the Civil War started, this island, which is St. Helena's Island, it was inhabited by Southern planters / slave owners. And when the Civil War started in Charleston, South Carolina, those Southern planters fled this island. And they abandoned about 10,000 enslaved people to fend for themselves. They left there so fast, history book calls it the Great Skedaddle. And in doing so, people here were left. And here comes Laura Town. Laura Town, with permission from General Saxon and the Freedmen Association, interceded. She set up the Port Royal Relief Fund Society that raised money to bring teachers from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania to educate these newly emancipated people living on this island. Anyone from Philadelphia here? No, I can't give you homage today. And with that, she started a fundraiser called the Port Royal Relief Fund Society. With that money she raised, she brought teachers here to educate the people who were newly emancipated. And that was called the Port Royal Experiment. That experiment was, could newly emancipated people who own land, could they make it without a master? Does someone tell them what to do? I would say this was a successful experiment. I'm proof of that. Today, I live on 45 acres of land that's been passed down generation to generation. And now my obligation is to continue with that, recycling and using what I've been taught all these years by those who've gone on. And I know you're nature-based, and we've been doing that for years. We cut a tree, guess what? We plant one back. Oyster bed, we make sure we have oysters. We have to continue renewing, planting, or recycling what we have if you want it. I'm so glad you're here to talk about that today. Another thing that the school started, when the school started going back, I'm off script, but I'm getting back on it. This school started when the Civil War started, guys. And when the Civil War started, this island, I don't know if I'm repeating myself or not, but just bear with me. 10,000 enslaved people were left here. Then Laura Town came. And one of the buildings on this campus, which is the Frank Cope Industrial Buildings, it's hard to talk without my prompts. The building was called the Frank Cope Industrial Building. In that building, the students were taught skills, industrial skills. They were taught carpentry, masonry, blacksmith, mechanics, wheelwrighting, basket weaving, harness making, and they had a carpenter shop too. The curriculum they used was based on the Tuskegee model. That model was academics in the morning, and industrial arts in the afternoon. This school was a private school. Boys and girls attended, grades 1st to 12th. The thirst for knowledge was so great, students were traveling here by boats to get an education. This was the only school that, if you look like me, for black people, living in South Carolina, could earn a high school diploma up until 1948 if you lived in the state of South Carolina and if you were black like me. That's the only thing you get. Don't mind, but there were other schools in the community, but there was only one that you could earn a high school diploma. The other schools, you could only go through 7th grade. So we are so blessed to have had this school in our community to help educate the people living in the low country. And we are called the Gullah people, one of the first landowners in America. Imagine that, owning land. I have guests to come to the museum. Y'all own land? We don't know anything else. Land is the most powerful thing you can have. The most important thing you have, land is. So, that's how we got our land. When those southern planters fled this island, they not only abandoned the people, and by the way, we were free due to abandonment. When they left, they abandoned the people, the land, and the crops. The government needed that cotton to support the Civil War, so they paid the emancipated people to pick that cotton. They paid them $1 for picking 400 pounds of cotton. And with that money they earned, they combined their resources as a family. They were able to buy acres and acres of land. At that time, it was sold for $1.25 an acre. But being emancipated, you got nothing. So $1.25 is like $1 million. You don't have anything to begin with. So we're able to buy land. If you know anything about land, land ownership is power. There was never, ever a shared property system established on St. Helens Island. The KKK did not come to St. Helens Island. I didn't say they didn't try now. They were planning on having a rally here. But what the people did here, they said set up a blockade. They told them the rally was not going to be here. It's probably down the road. And if you come here, there's only one way in and one way out. It's your choice. And guys, we didn't get a bridge here until 1927. And when that bridge was built, everyone was coming over here to buy our goods and services. We had indeed become self-sufficient, self-reliant people, saved by isolation. I'm gonna give you all 3 dates. Listen carefully. 1861, the Civil War started. 1862, the people living on St. Helens Island only, we were emancipated. We were being educated, and we were landowners. 1863, Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, freeing all the other enslaved people in this area. As you can see, we were emancipated before the document was signed, making us living here a different kind of people. Okay, what we do? We show up, we stand up, and we speak up. Again, land ownership comes with great power. And I don't know if you know it, if you heard about it. On this island, we've got a fight on our hands now. Someone wants to bring a golf course here. But guess what? We showed up, we stood up, and we spoke up. And it's been to two councils now. Number 1, denied. Number 2, postponed. And send it back to the original committee who wrote the overlay plan. So we're working on it, but with God's help, we should prevail. Because land, they don't understand land. Like I told them, right now, deers are beating at their doors. You don't know what other animals are out there. And we don't want other animals beating at our doors too. So they got to think about what they're doing and think about, instead of short money, think about long money. You think about it. So that's what we do on this island, because land is so important. And where you are today, this is where, I know you've probably heard this before, where Dr. King drafted that famous "I Have a Dream" speech. It's also where he planned and strategized the March on Washington. This is where the trainings for the boycotts and sit-ins were done, right here on Penn's campus. There was only two places that blacks and whites could work together. Penn Center was one. The other one was in Tennessee at the Highland Center. So we are so proud and blessed to be a part of that movement that changed the entire world. And as you walk the campus today, you will get to see a cabin where Dr. King stayed. If you go to the dock at the end of the property, on this island, land begins from water to road. There's a cabin built for him that the year he was assassinated, it was completed. But it's back there, and it's beautiful back there. This campus itself sits on 50 acres of land, donated by Hastings Gant, one of the richest black landowner on this island. And what we do here, we still educate, guys. We still educate. All-day early learning program, an after-school program. We host weddings, anniversaries, family reunions, retreats, conferences like you have today. And we have book signing, we do demonstration, and we bring in exhibit where the community will have no other way to see it. What we do, we educate our community. And we are proud with heirs property. Remember I told you we bought land together? That is called heirs property. Now, as time went on, laws changed. So we're working on that. We have meetings, monthly meetings with the community members, educating them on what do you do when you have heirs property. How do you take those away who don't want it? How do you do a deed? How do you trust? How do you do unrevocable trust? Those are things we do with our community. Because some of us who go away and come back, we have an obligation. We just can't leave your community. We come back home to be the voice and advocate for those who were never given an opportunity. Imagine if we were not here, what would happen? Won't be us on this island. So that's why we come back here. And I know some of you wondering the difference between Gullah and Geechee. That's the question, for the best question I always get every time. What is no difference, guys? It's a dialect. When I grew up, I am a Gullah girl. This is my home. I went to school, came back home. I worked in Beaver County School District for over 34 years. I'm a retired educator. When I got ready to settle down, my dad asked me, Marie, how many acres do you want? I said, Daddy, I only want 2. Then he asked my sister. I said, you better say 2. But then, because when I grew up here, we were taught land, the importance of land, and carrying on the legacy. See, the land that I have today, that is my generation wealth. I can't just throw it away out the window. We are obligated to pass it on and to teach ones behind me how important land is. I've got 2 sons. I say to them, if someone gave you a Lamborghini and 50 acres of land, what would you take? You better say land. So that's the kind of thing we do to let our children know how important land is. You got to do something concrete that they can see and visualize and the lasting effect of it. So today, I welcome you here. I don't know how long I've got, but I didn't finish saying about Gullah Geechee. I'm going to get back to that. All right, Gullah Geechee, guys, no, there's no difference. When I grew up here, I didn't always speak the King James or Standard English. Mine was broken. I said, where you come here for? Where you been at? I spoke like that. So I was teased that I was Geechee. Imagine holding an umbrella. On top of the umbrella said the words, your name of the umbrella is Gullah Geechee. And under that umbrella, custom, tradition, foodways, and folkways. The only difference with that is our dialect. And the language itself was created on the transatlantic journey from Africa. The enslaved people were captured from West Africa. And if you know anything about Africa, every region speaks a different language, placed in the bill of that slave ship without a common language. The journey to America took 3 months. And in 3 months, people shackled on their backs created a new language derived from the region's name Angola, changed to Gullah. It is a West Creole language. We can communicate with Jamaicans, Trinidadians, Caribbean, Bahamian, and if we listen closely, Cajun people too. So its language is a mixture of all the enslaved people that's on that ship. So I'm thankful, I'm so proud to be a part of this community that is Gullah. And the first stop that slave ship made was on Sullivan's Island, South Carolina. 45% of that enslaved people got off there speaking this language we speak today. Bought, sold, filtered out to the Sea Island to grow and cultivate rice. And why they needed them to grow rice? Because on this island, you have a flow of fresh water and salt water. And what they would do, they would tie an enslaved man to a rope with a bar of soap in his hand. Heist him down in the water. That man was slushed that bar of soap around the water until the bubbles stopped. When the bubbles stop, question for you, what has happened? The water had become salty. So they would lift them up, lower the dam. So that's how they were able to differentiate fresh water from salt water. And that was the value of them coming here and knowing how to cultivate and grow them too. And the first stop that the ship made, I went through that already. So then today, guys, Gullah is being taught at Harvard University. And the first thing we did, when you come over to the other side, the Bible, the New Testament, has been translated into Gullah. Do we teach our kids that? No, but they understand it quite well. Society have not accepted Gullah as a working tool yet. You can't go in a professional arena and speak Gullah. Half of y'all wouldn't understand it anyway. You'll be fired the next day. So if I want my kids out of my house, please don't do it right now. We can do it in the house, but don't do that there. So that's why we don't teach them that, but they know it. And don't ever get a Gullah mama mad. So hey, we talk very, very, very fast. I've learned to slow my pace down, word by word. So anyway, with that in mind, today I hope you enjoy yourself on this beautiful campus. And then later on, I'll see you in the museum. And at the museum, you'll get to see a picture of Laura Town, Ellen Murray, and Charlotte Fulton when you come to our beautiful museum. And please explore the campus and have fun while you're here, and realize today you are on sacred grounds, and you are on the birth of education for me. Without this school, I don't know I would ever be a woman with letters behind my name. So I appreciate this school being in our community, even though everyone cannot go, but those who went made the community proud. I've got to tell y'all one thing though. I can't leave without telling y'all this. One of our very own, his name is York W. Bailey. He was a student here. He graduated. He went on to Howard University, came back home as our very own homegrown physician, Dr. York W. Bailey. He spent over 50 years tending to the needs of this community. Even when he became blind, he practiced through his apprentice. So what we do here, we grow our own. If you don't grow your own, who will? I'm a homegrown educator. We have several homegrown professional people here. So we are proud of the work we have done in our community. We are proud because Penn Center was, or Penn School was our beginning, and at that school, it was all about education and bettering yourselves and your life. So with that said, I thank you for coming, and I hope you have a great day.